Don't vote Labour again.
Episode 48.
The Grooming Gangs, a deep dive.
Part 8. Alongside political reasons for the reluctance to investigate the gangs, we have cultural reasons within institutions. There were less enlightened attitudes about rape and rape victims even 20 years ago. The "she was asking for it" or "she's just making it up" approach held more sway. Crowther writes, "There was a general societal attitude in the 1990s that children were less likely to be believed, certainly over adults." In the Casey report, there are plenty of accusations that Rotherham Council had a bullying culture and some of the men were sexist. Inspectors heard evidence of sexist, bullying, or intimidating behaviour attributed to some of those holding leadership or senior roles. Key figures were often talked about in interviews. Quotes a witness. One mayor said that in his year of mayoral office, it was his right to kiss all the pretty ladies in the office. I remember thinking, this is so Rotherham. There was also classism in the equation. Chavs were the social bogeyman of the day, perceived to have loose morals and no self-respect, made the butt of the joke by comedy characters such as Waynetta Slob or Vicky Pollard. Perhaps police and social workers were less inclined to help these members of the underclass, believing they were beyond saving. Indeed, some of the victims may not have been seeking help themselves, and it was up to a professional adult to realize what was going on and intervene. Because of class bigotry against these girls, perhaps the professionals either didn't notice or chose not to step in. Such girls may well have been frustrating and hard to get through to, but when a child is potentially being abused, you have to make every effort. It seems every effort was not made. Before the Jimmy Savile scandal broke in 2013, there was perhaps not an appreciation of how serious a problem paedophilia was, how organised and institutionally enabled it could be. Me Too also drew attention to sexual assault as a social issue. It is not a coincidence that many investigations and convictions of rape gangs happened at around the same time. Indeed, after Savile, Operation Hydrant was set up to coordinate police investigations into CSE. Lastly, we have procedural and structural incompetence. It's a common stereotype of the public sector that it's full of clock watchers and middle managers that are not exactly dedicated to the fundamentals of their jobs. Some involved in the cases may have been tireless and diligent workers, of course, but there is a suspicion many were not. Diligent workers do not let such crises flourish. Coordination between different agencies is also notoriously poor. The police perhaps do not have much time for social workers. Council officers may not be bothered with elected councillors and vice versa. There can be various different layers of local authorities, and it can take so long to make decisions. Alexis J. supported this view. There are some people who can only see it as being one massive conspiracy with a single person at the centre of it. That's not the case. It's not possible because these organisations and people were too disconnected. They were connected at a professional level, but they had different agendas. When incompetence occurs, often it is covered up within departments to prevent embarrassment or repercussions for careers. Quite possibly this happened with safeguarding and the rape gangs. In the case of Telford, there seems to have been confusion about the law where personal information was concerned. Professionals were not passing on information because they thought they might get into trouble, when really they had an obligation to. The report quotes one saying, "I think back in 2000 there was a fear of the disclosures, so if a child told me something, I wouldn't have been able to tell anyone else outside." With regards all of these reasons, political, cultural, or structural, I cannot be certain about any of them. The various local inquiries do suggest, even confidently state, such things did happen to some extent. However, we need a proper, legally binding national inquiry into the whole thing. There have been numerous previous inquiries, but these have not been satisfactory or wide-ranging enough, carrying no legal clout. Every detail about every council department, case officer, doctor's surgery, and police station needs to be scrutinised, so such a thing does not happen again. And if necessary, people must be fired or prosecuted because of what is unearthed. These are from my article series Don't Vote Labour Again, published on my Substack, link in description. I usually split each subject into smaller episodes. In the description, you will find links to the other episodes. You can also check out my playlist to find every single one. Please support me in my work by subscribing to this channel, subscribing free to my Substack, and by liking and sharing. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon as we plumb the depths of this dreadful government.